Hello, my loves, and welcome back to Along This Spiritual Journey. So, speaking confidently is one of the biggest triggers I've noticed that most people have dealt with without realizing they dealt with because people are obsessed with tone. The thing about confident speakers is that you sound so assured that even if you are just speaking in a general sense and you don't know yourself, but because you're not hesitating over your words or speech or how you speak, those who overthink and don't speak their truth, or those who think their truth and never speak it out loud, they feel very triggered because they're like, I'm not accepting my own truth, but I'm accepting other people's truth. And now you're coming along and you're speaking your truth as if it is the truth. And that doesn't make sense because you're not playing the game that I'm playing. This is one of those things where I tell people when you are in any type of subcultural practice or discipline, because spirituality is universal and it's meant for everyone, but it is a subcultural practice because most people don't practice it. Most people don't practice consciousness, they don't practice awareness, they don't practice accountability, which is all a part of the spiritual journey. There are going to be levels of communication wherein you're learning something and you didn't know it before and you get really excited and you read up and study and you want to go share, and then people are going to look at you like, okay, all that hippy dippy spiritual stuff or whatever. And you're like, I'm just sharing knowledge that I think is interesting. Now, there are some people who take that knowledge on as their truth and then they go use that truth as a way to control others and how they get people to then respect and respond to them. Spirituality is not about trying to get people to respect you. Spirituality is about respecting yourself. And when you respect yourself, other people will then look at you and say, what is it about you that's so different? What are you doing differently that makes you so confident in this new line of thinking? This is the part of the spiritual journey that I love and I embrace and I encourage others to get on board with, which is if you don't lie to yourself, like if you genuinely do not lie to yourself and you tell yourself the truth, and no matter what the situation is, you will become so confident that it's disgusting. I promise you. Because can't nobody lie to you better than you can lie to yourself. Can't nobody gaslight you better than you can gaslight yourself. So when you learn how to talk to that energy inside of you and you're like, nah, now we both know that ain't the truth. We both know you did that because you wanted attention, because you felt like you needed somebody to give you some type of approval or validation. And then when no one else is looking, they don't know this is going on. So inside you be like, yeah, that's true. And you just roll with it and accept it. That's part of learning how to love on the ego. The ego will always be boastful. The ego will always know, I'm going to try regardless of what you think. The ego is that inner child, and we love that inner child because we were never afraid to try as children. When we got older, for some reason, we became afraid to try. We became afraid to speak. We became afraid to feel. And so then we walk around with all these emotions pent up, pretending through all this fake social decorum of speak when spoken to and act a certain way around certain groups and blah, blah, blah. And now you think that's your identity because it's part of a culture that you now live in and embrace. Again, just because the majority of people you live around embrace it as a culture does not make it your identity, okay? It is a choice to participate in these subcultural identities. And if it works for you, it works for you. But again, you're literally just trying on a costume and seeing if it works, and you're just playing your character. When you embrace your truth, you embrace your confidence, which means when you speak, you will always excuse me, you will always sound self-assured because you know that you're not telling a lie. You know that you have no reason to tell a lie because you're only speaking the truth that feels right to you. One of the things that even when I listen to some other creators and they're speaking truth and they're just telling it raw, and I'm like, ooh, they didn't have to say it that way, but they did, because unfortunately there are people who have to hear it that way to learn. Not all of us are going to be that way, but it's okay to understand that that's not how I would present it. That's not how I want to receive it, but it's necessary to still understand that that's how they speak. And that is their confidence. And I am never going to crap on someone who speaks confidently, even if they're wrong. Why? Because at least they know who they are on some level. I respect all people, but I respect those more who take the time to build their confidence and not blame the world for their lack of self assurance. Because there's nothing worse than a powerful person, an intelligent person who's not confident, because they're always going to find a way to poke a hole in everything you do. And that sucks, especially when you respect the person versus someone who don't know nothing about nothing, but they try and they get results and it works. And you're like, they don't know how it worked. They didn't learn the nuances. They don't even care. They just know that if I stand right here and I shoot from this angle, I'm going to make it every time. And the more they do it, the more confident they get in their ability to make that shot, which means whatever they say, they're going to sound confident about. And they're going to sell it in a way that sounds truthful, which is, again, I say this word a lot, discernment. You have to know what confident is versus somebody just being egotistical. You know what I mean? Someone knowing how to say something without stumbling over their words and all of that, I'm sorry, that's annoying to me. That's exhausting. Like, if you were not ready to speak up, then I'm going to need you to take a break. Gather your thoughts and then say it with your chest, right? Don't hold back. Say it exactly how you think and feel, and then go from there. If you want to curate it and make it sound beautiful so that you don't hurt other people's feelings or so that you don't come off a certain way, then do so. But again, when you take the time to overly pamper an outcome of others' feelings that you have no idea who that is, then you're going to always on some level put yourself in a box because you're not being truthful to self. Again, I'm not saying go out here and spread a bunch of misinformation. That is for you to, again, go through and research and figure out. But if someone is a confident speaker, let them be. Ask yourself, does it bother me that they can say it the way they can say it and I can't do it? Because that's what it comes back to, is knowing how to talk to yourself without feeling like you're lying to yourself, right? Most people who don't have confidence in their speech because they're lying to themselves about something and they're refusing to see the truth, and they push it down more and they use society views to tell them what truth is. And then they have this battle on the inside from ego and source, right? Because source is going to speak truth always, and your ego is going to find a way to distort it. So if your ego is always distorting confidence and saying that that person's egotistical and I don't need to listen to him, well, now you just shut off a whole group of light workers that possibly could guide you in a route that you never thought you were going to go, versus sticking to the route of darkness with people who literally don't know. They've never come out of the darkness, so they don't know what the surface holds, but they're going to tell you everything that you need to believe so that you stay under their control as well. Confident speakers know that they don't have to fall to society's control. That's it. That's the only thing you need to remember. And the more people try to crap on them, the more confident they become. And then this is where you get distorted confidence, where now you have people who are so confident they do become arrogant, and now they're fighting with you. That's distortion. Real confidence is not going to fight you. Real confidence is just going to say, okay, that's how you feel, that's how you feel. And I wish you the best, right? Understand that every time you feel a certain way about someone's tone or how they say something, it's not a direct reflection of you. And if you feel it is, baby, that means you need to go back to that childhood and get through all them triggers of why someone sounds a certain way and what that means to you, because not all authority figures and not all people who have a sense of confidence are trying to control you. It just means they know how to control themselves and they know how to present themselves in a way that doesn't feel fickle, okay? So go out there and speak with your chest. Speak with your voice and trust that when you say something, people really are listening because they're trying to learn through you. When people respect you, they respect what you're saying. Don't try to break them down just because you don't know how to do it without making yourself a clown, okay? Love you.